share screen lagi. Okay, so good morning everyone. Selamat pagi semuanya. Selamat datang di acara BVI Talk spesial dengan Departemen Ilmu Komputer dan juga Elektronika Universitas Gadjah Mada. I will use English first for this introduction. So yes, my name is Cynthia and I'm currently working as Human Resource and also Public Relation in Bukit Vista. So welcome everyone, welcome to the BVI Talk, how technology innovation help business to pivot during crisis. So yes, for today's agenda, we will have this one. This is for the introduction, the host, co-host, and also moderator, speakers. And mostly, probably everyone here already familiar with us, yeah, with the BVA talk. So I think you already know about how the flow of this event as well. So, and then I will reintroduce myself again. This is like kind of like short about me, a brief about me. So I was studied in Universitas Gadjah Mada as well, majoring in tourism, and I am a cat person for my fun fact. So yes, I will move to the next one. So our company mission is to inspire delight through hospitality innovation that positively transform our guests, partner, and also employees. That's why BVI Talk is also part of our innovation. So we could share and we could inspire the young generation with a lot of knowledge and also wisdom from the expert. Okay, so if you guys still wondering what is Bukit Vista, Bukit Vista is actually a property management startup. We are based in Bali and we have currently like managed more than hundreds properties in Bali, Nusa Penida, and also Yogyakarta as well. So here is some of our properties, our top properties. We have this in Jimbaran, in Bingin, we have this in Ubud, and yeah, that's several places that we manage. And for this event, we are very honored to be collaborate with Department Computer Science and Electronics Universitas Gadjah Mada. Thank you so much for the chance and opportunity to have a collaborate with Bukit Vista. And for this one, I'd like to invite Ms. Ani Kartika Sari for greeting us and then to open the session as well. So Ms. Ani, please kindly share your warmest greeting to us.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Cynthia. Yeah. Okay, good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to each and every one of you for being with us today. So it is very it is a very good opportunity for us, the Department of Computer Science and Electronics, to have or to host a talk with Bukit Vista. So on behalf of the department, I would like to welcome every one of you, our partners from Bukit Vista, the speakers, and all the audiences that attend today's talk. The students, maybe also some alumni. Yeah, so thank you, Bukit Vista, for, I think we have been in collaboration in the last few years, and we also have sent several students, a few students maybe, for the internship program in Bukit Vista. And I think since, we know that the Ministry of Education and Culture have established now the new curriculum, Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka. I believe that more students will be interested in doing the internship in Bukit Vista, because now we have we will consider, or we will recognize the activities with a large number of credits. Last time it is only 3 credits. Now we can recognize it as 20 credits. So it will be very interesting for students to take these opportunities. So with that, I hope that Bukit Vista will be able to host more students for the internship program. With regard to today's talk, the topic is how technology innovations help business to pivot during crisis. This is very relevant to our situation right now in Indonesia and also in other in the world, yeah, because as we know, in the last year, maybe last and a half year, almost, we have been facing the new situations, the pandemic situations. That's the crisis situations as well. Yeah, our activities should be adjusted to meet the requirements related to now. I think we have to be able to accept the new normal. Yeah. So this talk is very relevant to this situation, and I believe the audiences here will be able to gain the knowledge or the new side related to this one. Technology is very important here to adapt to this new situation. I also would like to thank the speakers, maybe also the moderator. Is it Mr. Jin Yang? For
Yes.
the yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Jin Yang. I think maybe we haven't met before, but I believe Pak Andi and also Pak Azari, we already met you several times. Yeah. So I really hope that our collaboration will be tighter in the future for this new curriculum here. Yeah, and for the students, I think most of them are students, but some of also are the alumni. The students, please, there is small time related to internship opportunities, I think. So please, the students, you can pay attention to that part, yeah, because it is possible that it is very possible for you to take the internship in the next semester, yeah, and you will be able to recognize the credits as the activity of Kampus Merdeka Belajar. So this is a very good opportunity for you to have the description of the internship program in Bukit Vista. Yeah, I think that's it from me. Thank you again for Bukit Vista, for the speakers and all the audiences here for being with us for today's talk. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the talk today. And thank you. Good morning and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes. Thank you, Ibu Ani, for the warmest greeting. Yes, we do hope that we will have a great collaboration in the future. So, okay, everyone, I won't hold your time, and I'd like to pass this session to Mr. Jing. So I think everyone is starting to coming, and we get more attendees now, sir. So please, you can start our session today. To you, sir.
Fantastic, Cynthia. And I'd like to say thank you to Ibu Ani, Bapak Andi, Bapak Azari for hosting this opportunity again to speak with Bukit Vista and inviting us and our friends at Igloo Home to also come and speak here as well. My name is Jing. I'm the CEO of Booker Vista. I'm the co-founder here as well. I studied and got an electrical engineering degree with computer science in 2002 at the University of California at Berkeley. I have not changed my shirt, obviously, since the since this photo was taken. And this is my trademark shirt whenever there's a BVE talk. I like to stay consistent, like Steve Jobs. So anyhow, my fun fact, since I think a lot of you have already known I've been in a Bollywood movie, I thought of a new one. I actually grew up next to the first Tesla factory. So the factory used to be I forgot, I think it was a General Motors plant, but it became a Tesla factory after Elon Musk took it over. So yeah, I grew up I used to play in the train yard where Tesla cars are shipped to the ports and all over the world. So that's a little bit of my new fun fact. Okay, without further ado, if we can advance to the next slide, I'd like to introduce our CTO, Bayu, and I'll let Bayu introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about what you do, Bayu.
Okay, thank you, Jing. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bayu Setiawan. I used to live in Jogja. That's where I went to school as well, UNY, if you know. So just next to GM, I guess. So I'm working as a CTO here at Bukit Vista, and actually a little bit fun fact about that before the last one. Actually, I'm not started as a CTO just right away. Right? It's we all started from being a host because Bukit Vista is a hospitality company, and we would go out and meeting people and bring them to like a wonderful location or the best restaurant in Bali and give them recommendation. So that we do in the beginning. So yeah, the fun fact is that I studied music in college. So it's nothing to do with technology, actually. So I guess that's pretty unique and probably you're wondering how did I get into technology. So that will give my contact to Cynthia. If someone wants to catch up with me, we can discuss about that more in LinkedIn or in any Bukit Vista's social media. So that's it from me, Jing.
Nice one. Thank you, Bayu, for the introduction and the connection to your history here. All right, next is one of our old friends, Mr. Anthony Chow, who is leading a company called Igloo Home. They manufacture smart locks, which we've investigated the potential for collaboration with in some of our properties. I'll turn it over to Anthony and his introduction, please.
Sure. Hi, Jing, and thanks for the invitation to come over here and share about what we do and also discuss about innovation. So my name is Anthony. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Igloo Company. So we actually rebranded just a couple of months ago. So we have two brands right now. Igloo Home is our consumer brand and Igloo Works is our enterprise brand. And we can talk about that later on during the conversation. Especially the rebranding came about during the pandemic, where we saw multiple opportunities for innovation. So I started the company about 5.5 years ago. And prior to that, I studied management science and engineering in Stanford over in California. And my background is in electrical engineering as well. So I kind of made my first digital dollar about 5.5 years ago when I started the company. But I think since everyone shared a little bit about the fun fact, for me was before I started the company, I was actually an Airbnb host over in Singapore, managing some properties, and I realized that one of the biggest problems was actually managing access. So that's kind of the genesis of why we started the company. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic, Mr. Anthony. And I brought my hardware engineering book today also. Some chops there. All right. Anthony went to our rival school, right? So we're gonna duke it out today at this talk. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. And Cynthia, let's go on to the next slide. Let's go ahead and launch into our first topic. So as students here, and as Andy and Azari have asked us to do, we've collected questions that we think are relevant and pertinent to helping everybody positively transform, to helping the audience in this room be inspired in the general topic of how innovation can guide a company during a time of crisis. Now, I'll go into the first topic, and I'll read the question first, and we'll begin from here. So technology innovation is part of a creative process in a business. And how can we maximize this to improve a business's performance? And how would we handle the risks of it? Okay, Mr. Anthony, as our guest here, maybe I'll let you begin this question in whichever way you would like to answer it.
Sure, thank you. I think before I answer this question, maybe I'll just take 2 to 3 minutes to talk a little bit about the company and just to give a bit of context to all the students over here. And I can share a couple of milestones in which we kind of have created innovations around how we can continuously survive and thrive, not just in the pandemic, but along the way as we grew the company. So the company has been around for 5.5 years. We design smart digital door locks for both consumers as well as businesses under 2 different brands. One is Igloo Home, another one is Igloo Works, where both of them essentially Igloo Home is smart locks for consumers as well as Airbnb hosts and vacation rental hosts. Essentially, they are like door locks that you can put on your door and you can let people in when you're not there, granting access via mobile phone or PIN codes or even fingerprint access. For the enterprise side, Igloo Works, we have a whole range of smart access products from padlocks to key boxes to sensors, supported by a SaaS platform with a mobile application that large-scale commercial real estate enterprises can use, especially, for example, data centers, logistics, facilities management companies, or even large-scale property management companies can use. And today the company is, with about 100 different distributors globally, supporting about 15 different languages. In fact, we have an office in North Jakarta as our sales office over in Indonesia. And we have a Bali office where Adit is actually leading the office over in Bali, physically there as well. Yeah. We have about 15 offices globally today, supporting this distribution as well as the 2 brands that we are working on. So I feel that technology innovation, we right in it, where things have changed so much and so frequently over the past 5 years, and there are many milestones that we can share. And what we feel is that innovation to us is a very simple thing. It's actually something different that creates value. It doesn't need to be deep technology. It doesn't need to be some crazy new business model, but it's simply something different that creates value for your customers. Right. And I think we have really learned that along the way throughout this 5.5 years of journey. And in fact, one of the most earliest thing that we realized is when we started the company, right? I was an Airbnb host to Mr. Jing's comment just now. And as we created Airbnb properties over in Singapore, where it was kind of gray area, it's good that I think you're managing out from Indonesia, but in Singapore it's kind of gray and regulations will come and bite down on you quickly. And it's important for us to be able to manage access to our guests in a much easier way. I was having a full-time job, and on the other side, I was trying to manage access, to my guests to check in and check out, whenever they want to come in. And I realized that one of the biggest problems is actually just passing keys to my guests. It was a simple pain point that came out from that. And running an Airbnb management small business, we had like 2 or 3 properties, right? It's not like we have a big business, just 2 or 3 properties just on the side. We realized that, how do we create a solution to solve our own pain point? And it came out to saying that, hey, let's figure a way to automate the check-in process and find some digital door lock or like smart way to grant access without actually passing the physical key. So in a way, we created a solution to solve our own problem, back 5.5 years ago. And this was a little bit of innovation that we put in, and that's kind of how we got the company going right from the beginning. Managing the risk of losing the keys and creating a simple solution, a technology solution to solve that. And
Excellent.
Yeah, I think let me stop there first, and then yeah, go ahead.
Sure, fantastic, Andy. Anthony, thank you very much for the very thorough background and also giving us a little bit of context. It sounds like to me that being able to actually define the problem is very important for the innovation process, and really tying that to thinking about value for the customer in this case. I'm curious to go into a little bit more detail about these. Besides those 2 points, do you think that there are other risk factors for doing innovation incorrectly? And also moreover, who are the entire set of customers that you work with? At Booker Vista, we have we're kind of between 2 worlds, right? We got our property partners and we got our guests. In your world, who are your customers and what are the potential risks for innovating incorrectly for those customers?
Sure. Definitely. I think many risks involved, and you rightly pointed out that I think the first thing you look at is who your customers are. From the very beginning, our customers, was very focused on Airbnb property management companies, not just any other platform, just Airbnb hosts. Figuring out how do we enable them to scale up a bit faster. Instead of just managing 2 properties, they can now manage 10, they now can manage 20. And I think Paul Graham said this, right? That it's so important to get your first 100 customers right. 100 customers who truly love you, rather than 1,000 customers who sort of like you. And so it's so important to just focus on the first 100 customers that they really like your product and what is the feature set that you want to create for them, and have that laser focus to build that product for them. So that was how we started. Very focused on just this 100 Airbnb hosts, and we actually started the company over in the US. So we got the product on the door, make sure that they like it, and because every customer segment has a different workflow processes, different pain points that you can tackle. I think one of the risks that we learned from the very beginning is that scaling up before you're ready. That's very important, and you tend to have that tendency to say, hey, an Airbnb host has like 10 problems. Why don't we solve all 10 of them at one go, right? And why do we just need to focus on one? And in fact, we made that problem. We made that a mistake where a couple of Airbnb hosts told us that they have problems managing their utilities bills. As a guest, you just leave your air conditioning on and you leave the house, and throughout the entire day, your air conditioning is on, and so your utilities bills clock up. So we thought it was a great idea. I see Ching laughing. We thought it was a great idea to switch off the air conditioning when nobody's around. So in fact, we went ahead to create a presence detection sensor. This was the first couple of months, and it will switch off your air conditioning when you're not around. So we had a smart lock, we had the air conditioning control, we had smoke detectors, we have a couple of other sensors that we were bundling together. And in a way, our team was small, we didn't have that many, engineers, and we're creating a kind of a large platform solution. At least that was the ambition and the mission. But when we went to market, the messaging was so mixed. Nobody knew what we were really doing. Were we a smart access company? Were we an IoT platform? Were we a utility savings company? And so you kind of get confused messages. And we realized that very quickly after 3 months of trying. And so we had to streamline everything back down to just one of the biggest pain point that we got to solve. So I'll say one of the risks is figuring out when is the right time to scale, add more product lines to your solutions, and not overtaxing your resources within the company. Yeah.
Excellent. I think that's an excellent explanation, Anthony, about this, because I think the one of the hardest transitions going from school to the real world is in school, because everything is theoretical. We assume that we have. I've seen this often with interns that we assume that we have infinite amount of resources to do infinite amount of ideas. Like, oh yeah, we could do this. We could do AR. We're going to do VR. We're going to do TikTok. We're going to do Clubhouse. We're going to do, but not all of these actually solve a real problem, and not all of these actually are where we should spend resources to. So I think, yeah, to guide innovation by really pursuing that pain point, and then creating a clear message and a brand around what you do well, that is some expert advice, actually. And we've noticed similar pain points in Booker Vista in our identity as a company as well. Are we property management? We're agents? And that is actually a pretty common experience I think entrepreneurs go through. Okay, let's turn the question over to Bayu, my CTO. Bayu, what are your thoughts on innovation being part of the creative process, and how do we actually maximize how innovation can serve us to improve business performance?
Yeah, actually, I really agree with what Anthony said, that we basically in Bukit Vista, Bukit Vista is a hospitality company, right? We solve hospitality business problem. So technology is just one of the many ways to solve the problem. That's what I always try to think myself, especially when we are trying to bring new technology in. So we use technology as a tool. We are choosing the latest technology not because they are cool, but because they can solve like a real world problem. This is our case in the In the early years, I think we are just a traditional short-term vacation rental company. Our work is just hosting, right? We do personal hosting on OTAs like Airbnb, HomeAway. We have a few bookings a day. I even remember that we celebrate like an all-time high booking was like this 20 bookings a day. So that is okay. We are doing that manually, right? Like, oh yeah, it's interesting. But then soon after that, we see a potential problem, right? So when the company grows, we always like need more people to handle more reservation because we have this kind of problem like. We need to enter the confirm booking from the OTAs to our own record, and then there's a human error, and then we cannot visualize the bookings, so we cannot really analyze anything. We just go blind, right? So I think in this stage, we have the same constraint as what Anthony mentioned. Like actually, I'm the only person that can work on this, or at least interested and have bandwidth, because everyone else is working busy on the hospitality side, right? And we don't have any software developer. The business is focusing on hospitality, but I think the main problem that we always see over and over again is that I think the company need a scalable system if we want to grow. We cannot keep adding more people. If we add like 10 new guests, then we need add more people. We will just crazy, right? Like a 1,000 people company, but with like a non-scalable capability. So that brings us to let's say like integration era. So actually, this is our MVP stage, right? So we built our system by utilizing the available tools out there. We don't build it ourselves. What's available on the market, we try that, we use that, we integrate it, we experiment with it. We integrate the OTAs first to a channel manager, then we experiment with a centralized database, and then we start syncing our booking directly instead of putting a manual input by the reservation team. Then we try to visualize the database using Tableau. So this have helping us like a lot just by doing this, just by bringing the available technology as a solution. It's not our ego to create our own technology from the beginning, because we focus on solving the problem. And I think it's at that stage, I think it served us pretty good. We know finally our weaknesses, our success, our failure, and most importantly, we can take action based on fact, right? Because we have the data. So yeah, I think we see potential in using technology to our business since then, since the beginning that we implement the MVP, that technology can help hospitality business. Hospitality is not only about hosting and services, but it can also be scaled. I think, yeah, there's a lot of talk about this actually, but a lot of people are talking about that eventually every company will become a tech company, right? So that's kind of supporting that statement.
Okay, thank you very much, Bayu. And to reflect on that, I do see a lot of the purpose of technology in being to amplify what we can do through this process of scaling. Like I understand that platforms, even like Instagram or Facebook by themselves, are actually quite simple. Basic computer science students could actually write these. But it's the process of actually how to get that platform to scale to millions and eventually billions of users. That's where there's more technology influence. This concept is actually fairly counterintuitive, and I notice for a lot of students who are studying this idea that because in school you're in charge of making your own projects, you're in charge of, you're graded on the originality and the inventiveness of what you're doing. At least traditionally, when I studied at Berkeley, and perhaps Anthony also in his time at Stanford. But Anthony, I'm going to turn this over to you. What do you think about this idea of utilizing existing technologies versus building things from scratch? And perhaps you or your CTO or your team would like to comment on that.
Definitely. I think like you said, I think ultimately, we want to create value for our customers. I think the pathway to get there can be done in multiple ways. One is you design the solutions from ground up, with your own technology, with your own IP, and you create ideas around that. But many times, I think in this world today with open source technology that's available in a lot of places, it's a lot more easier to put something together, to create your minimum viable product, and test out the value proposition in as quick as possible. Because I think before we want to, get to the scale where all of us want to, get millions and millions of customers, we want to start doing things that don't really scale first. Focus on the early set of customers, that 5, 10, 20 customers, and make sure they truly love and have value for them. I think it's so easy for us as computer science or engineers background to start putting like 10 different things together, like Mr. Ching was saying, create like AR, for something with an AI, with big data, and so on and so forth, and have everything together in one, statement. But really, from the customer's perspective, what is the pain point that you're trying to solve for them? Many times, technology is a conduit to solving a problem, and technology is not the end in itself. And I think there's kind of a lot of things that we do over at Igloo Company as well. And I think maybe I can bring Sastra to talk a little bit about how we think about our product development cycle,
Okay.
from ideation to actually coming out with the technical design document to where we say, hey, what do we already have and what is already out there? How do we put them together in an easy fashion? Yeah.
Fantastic.
Maybe
Let's bring Mr. Sastra in.
Sastra, you want to comment a little bit on that?
Yeah, I can add into that. Yeah, I agree with what Anthony is saying. Basically, to try out new ideas, especially during our the first year in Igloo Home, right? We do a lot of basically reusing stuff from other companies or an open source project. So we kind of put our ego aside, like, hey, why don't we build this? We can build this. Yes, we know that we can build certain things easily. It's just that but when we want to go to the market in a quick time, right, we sometimes relies on other basically third-party components that we have to build, and that actually brings us what do you call it, a technical debt as eventually, right? So then when we have time, right, in the future, we still don't forget about this, that actually this is a technical debt eventually, and we have to fix it, or rather we have to like redesign some of our engineering decision that we made earlier. I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It's not really a mistake. It's just how it is. Because if you want to do fast, you want to go fast, you have to rely on this kind of third-party modules, basically. Yeah, that is from me.
Wow, that's actually a fantastic insight, Mr. Sastra. It kind of reminds me of how it works for a startup in general. You borrow money in order to grow, but at some point you have to pay it back, right? And that works on the finance side, and I think it works also on the business side, actually, of the company as well. Okay, we've reached the time limit now for this topic, so if Shinthia will be so kind, let's bring our next topic up. Yeah. Fantastic session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sastra, Anthony, and Bayu for chipping in on this topic. All right, on to the next topic conversation. Now, what are your innovations to keep your business growing during this pandemic, and how does it transform you, and perhaps your clients and your employees, you as an organization, positively? Okay, let's go to Bayu first for that.
Okay, I guess the pandemic hits the hospitality industry the most, I think. I don't think people will think about going to Bali, especially like when it's like all of the country is closing their airports, basically. So it was very difficult for like tourism industry. We see this, I think, in the very beginning when we start seeing that this is actually a serious thing. Well, at first, I think it's just like, oh, there's a news about this, some kind of virus. But then we see like a rapid change in terms of trends, right? Especially because our guests are informed, right? Our customer are internet savvy, I guess. They know what's happening. They want to prevent as fast as possible. So we've been able to detect this because we integrate data, monitoring data, and analyzing stats basically in a daily basis. So this is not something that we need to do actually on the first thing. It's already there. We already planned the technology, and the technology helps. This is actually the first step that I think how we have been successfully implement this technology, not waiting until every sector of industry is closed, but we know this because our like especially in our business, there's a booking window where guests are booking ahead of time, right? Booking in March or April, guests are already booked for August, for example. Then we start seeing this trend, like why the bookings are get canceled. So this is raising a question, especially from our hospitality reservation team, and especially I think the BI team that is newly formed right there. Like what's happening? Are we doing something wrong or something like that? But then we act fast on that. We basically as the end result, basically, we have been able to survive and actually finally thrive by the end of the year during the COVID pandemic, which is my opinion is better than any other company. So the benefit of all the existing technology, this is not even like a big innovation. This is the benefit of the technology that we already implemented, is that we can adjust it to the technology to our needs. It means innovating the tools that we already use to see different things, to work on different things. Previously, we used like data management or visualization to be focused only on like company growth and then to expand our business. But then we quickly changed that. We focus on where are the loss, where are the cancellation, by seeing at the data and the visualization. And then it's the innovative part here now is because we cannot really do like face-to-face hosting. Then the only solution that we can actually, this is providing both the guest and the employee what do you call it, a safe way and still being hospitable to our guests. We are trying different methods of hosting, like voice message or a video message, even basically on some communication that's utilizing internet as much as possible. And then we still delivering our hospitality score in a pretty high score. And then we extend that. Actually, I think we don't have enough people to work on all of our guests every day. Especially we have this program. We want to retain people. We want to make sure that everyone is happy. So we have a constraint where we want to keep in touch after with our guests after they left. We want to keep sending them a message or reminding them for a review, for example, if they have a good experience. So we don't have enough people to work on that, right? That's not a very delightful for the employee to do that kind of work every day. So we use technology to automate this. We automate processes that is repeated and mundane, I guess, just because people want to work happily, right, in the company. So we don't want to if we can offload that work to machine, then why don't we use it, right? And then we have a lot of tools like to do experiments with ads, collecting data, and then making it into usable insight. Like I think we pivot from 90% supply of the revenue before it's coming from Airbnb, now to direct booking mostly. And then we change the target market, which is we always set to foreigners. Now domestic market is actually having a very big potential in terms of business. And then we also have been able to move from focusing on short-term rental only to now also accommodating long-term, like monthly and weekly business. So yeah, I don't think we can survive or we can move as agile as what we did in this pandemic if we don't have technology to support us for so I think that's pretty important. And innovations could I think some people are stuck with the term like the innovation is need to always something new. We need to create something new, something different. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just old tool, but a new way of using this tool. So I think this is innovation is not about the tool itself or the technology itself. I think innovation is how we think of using the available tool to solve our problem.
Excellent. Bayu, thank you for that very in-depth explanation. And to kind of put a shape around some of what you said. So I guess the idea first is becoming a more data-driven company, because then the data allows us visibility into situations where we didn't have visibility to before. And because we are essentially using the data to see things, it creates better transparency across the company, which guides us to create better decisions. And we can then track exactly how our innovations are actually making progress in solving problems rather than making innovation just for innovation's sake, right? That is actually that's actually a very insightful process that my CTO and I have been through over our history together, and Bayu has helped me become enlightened by this. Anthony, have you had similar experiences or completely different experience, or what is your take on this particular topic of how innovation helped your company grow during the pandemic?
Yes, and thanks Bayu and Jing for that commentary. I think for the very uplifting message, that the company started adopting a lot more technology and saw a huge growth, from the start to the end of last year. I think that's very nice. I think we went through a similar process as well. I think what I would say about the pandemic is this, that in our industry, the key and lock industry is one of the oldest industry in the world. And there's this quote from Russia that I always remember, that sometimes there are decades where nothing happens, and sometimes decades can happen in weeks, right? The keys have never changed for decades and decades, but just over the pandemic last year, so many people have started to figure out to digitize their process, whether it's internal or external, digitize the way they work, live, interact, and play, and even for us, digitize access as well. Because I think right now during this pandemic, many large companies, while they manage all these physical keys, let's say they manage tens of thousands of access to like maybe a data center, rooftop access, water tank. Previously removing the keys for them is a change in process, helping them save cost, save time, save money. But during this pandemic, it helps them save lives as well. I think it has this whole concept about removing the health hazard and health risk. So for us, I think we looked at innovation within the company, across three different three different components. One is the process innovation. The other one is people innovation. The last one is product innovation. And I think, product innovation is something that we really looked into, especially with the different customer segment that popped up during this pandemic. And what we have been very focused on the Airbnb, the consumer market, the vacation rental market prior to Airbnb, prior to the pandemic. During the pandemic, we really looked at the enterprise market, where many of these large-scale enterprises figuring out that they need, a way to digitalize their access, ways to pass keys, and without contactless access, contact tracing. This really, we essentially created a new vertical during this pandemic called iglooworks, where we launched it actually just like 2 months before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit. So it was kind of good timing as well. But I think it really picked up during this last year. And as part of the product innovation that we did, we had to shift from how we looked at consumer, with different kind of security standards, user experiences, or mobile application, software application, and also data that you mentioned. How do we now translate this to the enterprise space, and what might be different, for the different verticals? And once again, we went back to the drawing board and say, okay, look, the enterprise space is a huge one. Let's look at the first 1 or 2 verticals that we want to double down into. What are the typical customers? Spend some time with them, figure out what the pain points during this pandemic, and create a solution for them. And so that's kind of what we did, during the pandemic, and we created, I think Sastra and the team put together different software platforms to work on product innovation. And I mean, I'd love to talk a little bit about the people side as well, especially during this pandemic. One of the pain points that our company faced was that because we have 15 different offices around the world, it was very difficult to meet. Previously, every quarter we'll fly people together to one location to meet, talk about plans, but now we can't. So how do we now enable the people within the company to continuously, create, and hold the vision of the company together, work together as a team? And I think to what Bayu mentioned just now, how do we use all these collaboration tools like Zoom, Google Hangouts, and yet create that personal touch. So our HR team actually went on overdrive, created a lot of processes and also campaigns around wellness, around how do we celebrate birthdays together across the whole globe, cake making sessions, and simple things like this. I think they really go a long way, because ultimately people still crave that human interaction within the company, and constantly driving the message and the vision of the company through the whole organization is something that was a pain point for us, and I'm sure for a lot of organizations as well. And how do we constantly keep our people first? Because the people are the ones that will drive the business and the vision forward. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Anthony, I couldn't agree with you more wholeheartedly as well. I think that might come as maybe as a surprise to engineering students, right? Because as an engineering student, I remember being very, my classmates were competitive, and I was trying to like get better grades, and we were graded on a curve. But this idea of that the people aspect is in some ways as important as the technology aspect, or perhaps even more important, because people do actually create the technology, and thinking about how to innovate and to develop their part of it is often overlooked too as well. When you talked about HR going overdrive, I resonated immediately with that, because I realized Cynthia has joined the HR team actually and done events like this. And this type of gathering is an innovation by itself that we didn't have before. Before, when Anthony wanted to meet me, we would come to Bali, or I would go to Singapore, or we would do these events in person. But I think during the pandemic, we've all been forced to think about how do we actually conduct not just our business, but our life through channels like this, and how do we actually innovate on that, and how do we develop culture through an online existence. And I'm here in my kitchen right now, wearing shorts, talking in front of like 86 people. And I thought, yeah, that's kind of bizarre in some ways, because normally like this process of going to an event would require a flight ticket, a hotel, and a check-in, and dressing up, and maybe having a luncheon before, and doing some hangout session afterwards. But it's become more compact too as way. And that kind of has brought me to think that this pandemic has given us an opportunity to positively transform, to actually be more connected, through the means of online. But okay, great. Thank you for touching upon both those subjects. I think we've reached the time. Okay, we're making very good progress right now, so we'll go to the next topic. All right, Cynthia, bring us to the third topic, and this is an interesting topic. And how has technology innovation leveraged the business model after the age of the pandemic? Okay, so I guess we can delve into this. I'll go at it first. Yeah, I'll try to give this a shot as a moderator. So, this is the biggest change I've seen. That through the last year, our company and our understanding of how things work across, let's say, the internet has vastly improved. And one of the primary reasons is this. We went from a culture, I think, of having, let's say, spontaneous sort of face-to-face engagements, and going from a culture where we reported activity to being a more structured culture, a culture that puts our thoughts down in writing, that puts our ideas in planning, that uses calendars, and we've all become better self-managers through the pandemic. And why has this happened? I think in so many years before the pandemic, we tried to encourage user adoption within our own company and with our partners as well of technology tools, but there's resistance. Maybe they're fairly traditional, or they're in an age where learning new things doesn't come as easily to some of the younger generation. So because of all these sort of social constraints and these cultural constraints, it's been really hard to actually integrate a way of working or a way of communicating that ties everyone together. I think the pandemic created an opportunity to explore and in a way be more dependent on sort of self-management in order to be useful. So what do I mean by that? Before, for example, people could come to an office and we would just assume that they're probably working on something important because they're obviously here, their physical body is present, we're having lunch with them. But it could be very well possible that throughout a day, a week, or a month that this person has produced no results, right? Or there's been no real impact. But we feel like we were lulled into the sense of believing that there must be impact because I'm seeing this person every day. Well, when we had to do more remote working, when we had to organize ourselves across different geographies, we don't have 15 locations yet, but maybe one day, secure some funding, we'll go global like Anthony has. Then this becomes like kind of an interesting thing. Okay, so if we're not all getting together and meeting, then what is important about work, and how do we actually know somebody is even working? So then that kind of steered us towards actually more effective thinking. We started thinking, all right, it doesn't really matter whether you come to work dressed in a t-shirt and shorts or whether you do a video conference naked even. What really matters is, do you actually get results done? So Bayou inspired and he reminded us of our service-oriented architecture as a company, of SLAs, of KPIs, of setting goals, and how important that this process is. This rediscovery of an innovation is to actually being successfully able to work remotely. Once we had those goals in mind, it sort of dragged everything else into alignment. We started considering more about time management. Before, it was just enough to be physically present, but now, okay, all right, if we want to really be effective, we need to block our time. We need to start scheduling things. We need to not just rely on spontaneity to let things happen. We need to plan more. And that created a culture that became more receptive now to the tools and to technology that previously we maybe had a slower adoption process. So I think this technology and the way that, let's say, the pandemic has allowed for access to widespread use of technology has actually brought everything a little bit closer and more accessible to Bukit Vista. Some things that like we didn't do before. We didn't do pitching remotely before. So if we wanted to access a client, we would have to go physically to the client and talk to them, or they would come physically to our office and we would talk to them. But now we can conduct a lot of our business online, which gives us global reach. We can now manage the company from any part of the world. I had left to go to the United States for 3 weeks, actually 5 weeks back in 2020, but I didn't feel really disconnected from the company because all the data was coming in and I could watch the recordings of past meetings and I could attend. And so I think this was actually pretty transformational. There's nothing that is in a blind spot anymore. Anything is documented and can be recorded, and it can really clarify our thinking. So let me turn over to Bayou for the continuation of this, right? Your thoughts, Bayou, on how technology innovation has leveraged our business model or enhanced our business model?
Yeah, I think the pandemic, I think in terms of what do you call it, user, how accessible users are to us, I think it's actually helping us. The people are more aware of technology right now. People more appreciate technology, like connected technology, right? Like internet. I think it's very difficult before for us to even educate people how to use new tool, especially when we are talking about in the company, right? In the company, we would use tools like Slack or Trello, or like video calls, even like Google Meet or Zoom. it's okay for us because we are working in the company. We have kind of obligation to learn about this thing. But for clients, for user, it's not their problem, right? They don't have this problem. Why do they need to learn about this, learn how to use this tool? But I think during the pandemic, then people will more aware about that. More people are sharing about how they can do a video call with their family, right? When they cannot meet each other face to face, then they will learn how to do video call. This has been greatly help us connect more with our property partners, especially. Usually, it's a very long process when we have something to discuss with partner. We would like say when you are available. Oh no, I'm in a business. I'm in the office. I have meeting. It's very difficult. But now with all this technology, with the calendar, you can see my calendar. I can see your calendar. We can see which slot is actually available, and then let's do a meeting on that available slot. I think that's very helpful in terms of what do you call, improving the awareness of, or the technology accessibility for the user. And I think the business model also, we kind of go like over beyond the boundaries. We would have like limitation like that before. It's oh, we cannot go to like Yogyakarta, for example, from Bali. Right now, we can do that from here in Bali. Now, even most of our employee, we have this culture of like you can work anywhere from that you want as long as you work, right? I mean it's a team effort, right? So this like has been changed a lot since the pandemic. We have people like not only working remotely because they want to work from a cafe, right? It's actually enabling the remote work because they want to work from their own city. You are like, we have some people like from Riau, from Pekanbaru, from anywhere. I think we have someone from Romania as well working with us currently. I think it's amazing that we can do that, and we can still be productive, and then we can find a way of actually, I think it's better to see or to have a self-management system. So we are using this SLA, the system-oriented, service-oriented architecture, where I can promise someone about the result that I want to deliver, and then I just monitor that because that's my promise. I will monitor it myself, and everyone will do the same thing. And it's less managerial. We don't need someone to like monitor someone to, hey, you need to do this, hey, you need to do that. It's very good at helping us in leadership, and especially that enabling us for innovation. It's like a cycle. When we give more flexibility to people, they will tend to innovate themselves, especially because people are this is actually like my personal mantra, right? Be lazy, basically. This is my personal mantra. So you want to achieve the same quality as when you are doing your work with maximum effort, but you actually want to achieve it with minimum effort. If I can just spend like 1 hour to finish like 1 day worth of work, then I will do it in 1 hour, right? Well, why should I spend like all day long to work on that? So this is there's a lot of things to do with technology, automation. I think people are now once we introduce this technology, this automation technology, even non-tech people will start thinking about that. There's this intern actually that really sparked about this idea. So I think someone asked her to do like a same thing like every day, and then the time to work on that is 2 hours per day. Right. So this intern actually approached me and say, hey, I see you have automate like similar thing, but it's different work. Is this work can also be automated? Okay, that's really great. That's in a traditional environment, that would be no. That's why you are here. You need to work on that, right? But this is something that we encourage in Bukit Vista. Yes, please show us the thing that we can improve, right? To improve your quality of life. If you're an intern and you will find you see blind spot in the company, and then you bring that up, and then we actually fix the problem. That's like a 5-star internship program that you have, that you will work on a real project, solve a real problem, and then you're not just here to fetch coffee or making a copy of document, right? So that's I think a lot of leverage in improving the business model, the team management during this pandemic. I think, Jake.
Excellent. Thank you, Bayu. And what you just said actually is something that we do highly encourage, right? That is actually the mission of the company, to actually inspire delight through hospitality innovations that positively transform. And I think thinking that way and taking, let's say, using Bayu's words of being lazy and thinking of like a way to get more done with less time, that's a very good stance. Let's go to Anthony and the team at Igloo. What say you? What thoughts do you have on this matter?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the sharing. Very positive, very uplifting as well. You know, all the processes that you guys have changed, and also I think like ultimately hospitality is about people, and I do feel the same way as well. As the pandemic changes, I think I have a couple of points I want to share. I think the first point is that I think the pandemic will be with us. I think make no doubt about it. I think for the next couple of years, we will need to figure out how to live with the pandemic. It will never leave us as it is right now. I mean, in fact, our Deputy Prime Minister just stepped aside, I think yesterday in Singapore, and yeah, it was a shocking news. It just broke like a couple of hours ago, the day before, and he said one thing, right? He said that the pandemic is going to be with us for the next 5 years, easily, right? So I think for us as students and entrepreneurs, you know, as engineers, we need to think about the next 5 years or even beyond that. What are some of the solutions? What are the problems that we can solve? And what are solutions that we can bring to the market? And I think one of the biggest thing really is, like was brought up before, is really about the culture, in the way we eat, work, you know, live, play, interact with people, whether it's at work or in our personal life. And you know, culture takes a generation to change. But really, over the past year, culture just completely changed. There's a whole new acceptable way of living and interacting and working, as was shared just now. And I think that, you know, as students coming out and graduating very soon, is how do we adapt to this new culture and really thrive within this culture. And I think the third point that I want to share is that with digitalization going on right now, I feel that with the age of the pandemic and beyond that, I think data, cybersecurity is going to be extremely important. Everything is going digital. The way we, you know, have this kind of sessions on Zoom, the way we collaborate via, you know, code sharing systems like GitHub and things like that is all going to be digital. Or even, you know, recently I saw this company where we're talking about wellness campaigns, and now they are all going digital as well. You can use an app, you can do yoga on the app, learn how to do your own meditation via, you know, community that's on apps right now. So I think the life will change significantly. And I think the exciting thing is that the students right now graduating are all right in the middle of it. They're living it, breathing it. and you don't have to learn and unlearn, you know, like myself, I need to unlearn the culture a couple years ago, set a new one now. So you're really just going right into it. You're kind of the new native, right, of the pandemic. And I feel that this is an exciting time. So I think before I would just like to pass the time over to Sastra very quickly, just to share a little bit about how the culture has been like and how it has changed, especially in our engineering team across Singapore and Indonesia. Sastra?
Hi, thanks, Anthony. Yeah, I have to agree with the speakers before, Jin and Bayu and Anthony, that this is definitely changed the way we live as well as the way we work, right? As an engineers, you know, we are affected quite significantly by that. So I can give you a few examples. But first of all, in Igloo Home, right, we have a few remote offices. So we have sales office in the US, India, Thailand, as well as engineering office in China for firmware and hardware engineering. And we have a Singapore office, our HQ here, that does engineering as well. And on top of that, we have app development team in Bali, right? So we are quite lucky that we have been, so-called working remotely almost since day one. So during this pandemic, we know how to work remotely. It's just that now it's being intensified. It's beyond what we had in mind, right? So before this, we used to send people, down like Singapore to Bali, Bali to Singapore to China, all over the place, right? So things can go smoothly, and we can sort a lot of things, easily when we do it when we meet in person. So that hasn't happened since early 2020, right? Obviously, and yeah, and that brings us into like full remote work mode. So yeah, to the extreme, right? We do have we do perform basically we do things that we didn't before, such as I'm not sure if you are guys aware of live. Basically, we know that about code sharing, right? But what we do now is we do live code sharing, meaning yeah, I mean, during sometimes we have to do like code review or anything, or there's other our team member in Bali or in China asking us questions, so we have to go into live code reviews, and thankfully there are tools for this, right? And apart from that, I think we, in fact, in some at some time a few months ago, or even sometimes we still doing it in a way that we have a dedicated Google Meet that that in Google Meet sometimes the link is static, right? I mean, you can just joining. So basically, we have a lobby for our engineers that if they want to ask anyone, they can just come into this link and someone will be. Yeah, I mean, this is to me this is extreme, man. Like we never done this before, but yeah, this is something that we try to adjust ourselves to, like full remote work.
Excellent.
Right? Yep.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sastra, for that. And to kind of wrap everything together, what I would notice is, Sastra, when you said that lobby, we recently experimented with a program called Discord, which is used by the gaming community to actually talk during video games. But we found it's actually very good for maintaining like a audio presence for remote teams. So it kind of reminds me similar of the approach on using the lobby through Google as well. And one of the things I've really noticed is that the pandemic has actually filtered out companies that are agile and can adapt really quickly to this new internet situation and are resourceful, from companies that cannot. In Bali, you drive around, you'll see hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses that are permanently closed, and it's mainly because they never found a way to actually engage their audience, their customers, their community through the only way available, which is through the internet, right? But I think for agile and lean companies, sort of Eric Ries's lean startup style, that this has been an opportunity. Actually, this has been an opportunity to fully integrate and as Sastra said, get kind of really hyper remote working, very intense remote working, and that is actually, I think, something that enhances business and helps, I think, using Anthony's word, thrive post pandemic as well. A company that can do that is obviously, I think, in a better position to be faster, more efficient, more resourceful, and more meaningful, more impactful than companies that don't. Okay, as you all have probably seen, I've been trying to warm up the Q&A session by stimulating the questions, but it seems like we have a good selection of questions. Thank you for the audience for providing these questions, and also thank you for upvoting to keep this session as engaging as possible. So let's begin. Let's take a look at our first question. We have some anonymous questions, but if I'll give the person who wrote this question an opportunity to self-identify. Does anybody want to read this question that they wrote, or would they like to stay anonymous? I'll give like a 3-second count, right? 3, 2, What? Okay. It will remain anonymous, but I'll come out and read it. Okay, so looking at the competitiveness, companies may overlook the initial value that they want to deliver to the consumer. As a CEO, what are your thoughts on that? Smiley face. Okay. Anthony, let's go to you first. As a CEO, what do you think about it?
I think the question really is really around, you know, whether the value that you create for the consumer changes, you know, over years, you know, maybe across the pandemic or not. You know, I think ultimately it does. You know, I feel that I think as a company you're always looking at value creation, right? Whether it is for an individual consumer or enterprise or like a government project, you're really trying to figure out what kind of value you're trying to bring to the customer. I mean, look at some of the biggest players in the market, right? Let's say Google, when they started with search, you know, search is the first thing that they created, and it's still, you know, growing extremely great for them at the moment. But ultimately, you know, they started creating multiple other lines as well of businesses. They constantly created more and more value to their customers and created a bigger ecosystem around it. Amazon as well, starting with, you know, selling products online, and they have a huge data center kind of a business right now, and etc. So I feel that, you know, as a company, as you grow and as you scale, I think you don't forget the initial set of customers that you create value for, and you always try to see how you can add more and more solutions and create more and more value for them, so that they will constantly stick with you. You know, I think in the market, it's always there's a huge tendency to look at what your competitors are doing, and look at, you know, what kind of new features have they created and have they added. You know, I think it's so much more important to focus on the customers that you have, the customers that you might not have yet, right? And try to, you know, win over from your just playing a feature competition. I don't think that's the right way to do it, because I think what you have is the heart of the customers that with you, yeah. So as long as you keep that in mind, I think, you know, you can always keep your competitiveness there, and then you start creating different lines of businesses that focus on your core group of customers.
Anthony, that's going to be hard to top that one. Let me go to Bayu real quick. Bayu's not CEO, but Bayu, do you have any thoughts to this question?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge, and I think to help with that, it depends of what kind of person the CEO was, right? So if it's a very ambitious person, maybe that's not a problem. Someone that really believe in the product or the value of the product that they want to deliver. But I think most of the successful CEO is doing this kind of practice, right? It's a generate the idea and then validate it from the small step, or prove it if the idea is actually work. It's like what Anthony do at Igloo as well. So I think as a CEO is someone who work from the beginning to the end, right? So it's not. I don't think it will be very like easy to miss the actual value of the product that they want to deliver. That there will be always progress. There will be ups and downs. Maybe it's looked like closer to the goal, and sometimes it's drag again, and then there's a problem, and then there's a problem to be solved, and then maybe even pivot to a new value to deliver. I think there are some example of the company that actually still successful, even though they are doing a different business that their initial business, or
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think as if you want to be a CEO, I think just understand what are your KPIs and what are your goals actually, and then you will be on top of your insight. Basically, you will always in control of the company and not missing anything.
Excellent. Let me expand on what Bayu and Mr. Anthony have said, which is I feel that, how would I put it? I understand the nature of this question, or I think I understand the nature of this question, which is when you're in a very competitive environment, you're thinking about the day to day, you're thinking about how to win. Can you lose sight of the bigger picture? And do you lose sight of maybe you're winning battles, but maybe you could be losing the war? Um, and I think that's actually very easy to fall into that trap. If Simon Sinek said this, actually, it's pretty inspirational. He talked about the infinite game. He talked about this idea that this game has no beginning, it has no end. The number of players is variable, but there's people that come in, people that go out, people that come in, people that go out. And you, to succeed, should just be the player who plays the longest in this game. I think this is what eventually, like in the very early days, let's say my first evolution as a CEO, I remember being very achievement driven, right? Coming from competitive school programs, from such as many of the students here, being let's say the top of my high school class, being the bottom of my engineering class at Berkeley, and it's sort of like you're thinking about, how do I pass a test? How do I win on the next exam? How do I get my first internship at a company like Booker Vista or Igloo? How do I get into grad school, right? So you're thinking about everything in terms of a personal achievement, and that can stick with you for a while, right? And that's not a bad thing either. But when you start thinking about how to just compete, um, you might be picking the wrong battles. You might be actually getting into battles that you don't need to fight and that you shouldn't fight, that you should actually just kind of sit back, watch everyone else fight, and wait for the best time to come in. Um, I'll give an example that Bayu and I went through. We had an existing partner who was essentially comprising of almost 40% of our income. And this partner decided to create a bake-off, right? And pit us against another property management company to compete on managing the resort. And we did. We were like, yeah, we're going to compete. We're going to show these people how good we are, right? And the end result was, actually, the funny thing was that us and the other competitor both lost, and the partner won, and they were able to essentially decouple their relationship from us, and we kind of lost that deal anyway. And neither did the competitor actually win the deal either. So I think now when I approach competition, I kind of take Peter Thiel's approach, right? Competition is for losers. If you're competing, it means that you're probably not thinking hard enough about how to be 10 times better. You're probably not thinking hard enough about how to innovate. If you're going to be a Me Too brand, then you're probably going to end up being more like Samsung and not enough like Apple. You're probably going to be more like, I don't know who the second electric, you're probably going to be more like General Motors instead of Tesla right now, because you're not really thinking about what it is that you really need to do. So I think this was one practical discovery I saw when I was working at Airbnb as well. I was shocked in my time at Airbnb how infrequently we used any data outside of the company. I was really shocked. I was like, wait, we don't look at global market trends. We don't look at like travel to Bali. No, we just look at essentially how our app is doing, and we look at how much that app has grown month on month. And later on, I realized, you know what? Of all the times I thought about the macro picture, very few times has that applied to me. All right, like, oh yeah, this month there's more travelers coming to Bali. Okay, great. But these travelers are coming in tour groups, and we don't do tour group operations, right? And yes, should we do them? Maybe, but that would involve displacing the incumbents. And then we would be a Me Too company, right? Trying to pursue a line of business that we didn't have really any expertise or specialty. So the takeaway, I think, in this is, I think what both Anthony and Bayu have spoken about, which is this idea of focus, this idea of really being good at something that you're really good at. When I think of smart locks, I generally think of igloo homes now. Actually, when I think of smart locks, even though I can't afford to put one in all our villas, right? Sorry, Anthony, but I kind of understand that is the place that, let's say, if I were to build $1 million villa that was really technology friendly, that would be the one thing. So I think maintaining that focus and really doubling down on what you're really good at, instead of like going into distracting other things that you might or might not be good at, away from your core competency, away from your core strengths, just to say I've done it too. That, I think, is the heart of of understanding you're not really trying to compete with others. You should be trying to compete with yourself. You should be 10 times better than yourself every year. Try doing that, right? And you have more control over that than competing with other people. If you can do that every year, being 10 times better than yourself, you will be a Elon Musk by the time you are 30. So I think that's a better way to focus your energy and give yourself like motivation. Okay, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now and go into the next question, which is, all right, what does your company want from some fresh graduate that or some college student that wants to learn or join your company? Anthony, we'll go to you. What do you want?
Hey, yeah. Let me start, and then I think we can have Sastra share a little bit as well from his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in this world of the pandemic, I think ultimately we want people. I think that you look across both, the people skills as well as the technical skills. Especially so during this pandemic, I think teamwork and the people skills are so important, because no man is an island, right? When you're creating a solution, you need everyone to come and work together. So on our side, we have 8 core values within a company. It's a bit too many core values. I think we need
we have 8 as well.
too many. I think I completely understand. We need to shrink it down a bit more. But I think the basically the genesis of this core values really is around how can someone be resourceful during this pandemic, be resilient. I think there will always be ups and downs during a startup or any business that you go into. How do you always hang on, when the chips are down, not just when things are going well. I think the second thing we always look out for is how much you take initiative in your own learning and growth journey. To Mr. Ching's point about always becoming a better version of yourself, we always say you just need to be 1% better than your yesterday's version. And because of compound, in the end of the year, you'll be 3.65 times more, or some number like this. I don't know the exact number, but because of compound, you actually grow yourself so much. And all you need to do is just be 1% better than your previous version of yourself yesterday, right? And how do you always take initiative of that? We look out for a lot of skill sets, or at least traits like this. The third thing we look out for is empathy. This is empathizing with your customers. That's number one. That's the most important, actually, because customer first is actually our top core value. But I think in your personal trait wise, how do you empathize with your partners as well as your teammates, and also knowing that you might not know everything. I think there's a tendency that as engineers and myself as well, when I came out from engineering school, I know everything about like this circuitry, this is how it's going to be working. But really, when you go into this world, digital world where there's so many functions, that I realize, across both software, firmware, hardware, mechanical engineering, that everything all needs to work together in this new digital age. That I actually know a lot less than what you think you know, and so I think knowing that and realizing that, and how do you always keep learning and learning from people around you, I think that is actually important. And I think finally, I think the important thing here is also about open and honest conversations. I think in university, you essentially fill up exams, complete your exams and submit it. I think at work, there's less so of an exam kind of oriented culture. It's more collaborative. Share with your teammates what you know, what you don't know, and so that you can all figure out a way to create a solution together. And that really comes from being honest, being able to be vulnerable. I'm saying that you just don't know what you don't know, and that is not a form of weakness. That's not a sign of weakness, but actually it takes a lot of courage to tell people what you don't know, right? And learn from your peers, learn from your mentors, seek people out, like take internships at Bukit Vista or join us at igloocompany, take an internship with us as well. And I think that these are things that we really look out for, and I feel that it's not just in the tech world, in your personal life as well. I think this is actually important. Maybe let me turn over to Sastra, some of the things that he look out for within his team.
Please do.
Hi, yeah. So as for the engineering team or the software team that I manage, basically we do look into people, like what Anthony said. People, in this pandemic, maybe since we are doing like full remote work, so the people skill might be quite useful there. But then again, what we kind of invested is in the people, right? We do invest in people, not just the technology. So yeah, we do invest on technologies, basically like what sort of technology or what sort of technology that we are going to. But the most important for us is the people. Like, if you have a great mindset, if you have a mindset that, yeah, I want to achieve something, I know nothing now, but I want to, grow. I want to be successful with you guys. Yeah, this is something we're looking for. So basically, the mantra is that we want to hire a senior engineer while they are in junior. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shastra. When I listen to what you just said and what Anthony just said, I agree completely. Like it's 100%. It's there's a very strong hiring quote that I got from D Hawk, management expert. He said that I've taken the heart to memorize this now. So hire and promote first based on integrity, and second on motivation. Third is capacity. Fourth is understanding. Fifth is knowledge, and last and least is experience. Without integrity, motivation is dangerous. Without motivation, capacity is impotent. Without capacity, understanding is meaning. Or wait, I think I got the sequence of there wrong. I'll stop, right? Without understanding, knowledge is meaningless. And without knowledge, then experience is blind. And if you have all the top qualities, then your career should accelerate. And I completely also agree with what Sastra said. At Booker Vista, we call that a growth mindset. We look for 3 attributes. We look for a growth mindset, which is this ability to believe that you can do things that you can't do currently. Just like I never thought I'd be doing HR, right, in my whole entire life, but I spend a lot of time doing HR now, and I actually kind of enjoy the process at this point. So that's my own personal transformation in, let's say, believing to grow. The other things I think that we look for here at Booker Vista, 3 fundamental qualities, is a bias to action. A bias to action is daring. We need daringness in order to push innovation. If you have an idea but you're not willing to actually drive the idea forward, then it just becomes a thought on a whiteboard. So daring is crucial. Empathy. We have a core value here of helping others first. This is this idea of how we serve and how we placed not just necessarily a customer, but it also could be our colleagues and it could be our partners too as well, in a position where we support them and allow them to succeed as well. So ultimately, 100% agree with what Shastra said. I remember actually seeing this tattoo on the chief product officer at Airbnb, and it surprised the hell out of me. Actually, I was very, very shocked to see it. I think everybody here in CS would understand. His name was Joe Zadeh, and he had a PhD from Caltech, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's probably 1% of 1% of 1% of people can get that. So very smart guy, probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. And on his, I think it was his left forearm, he had a tattoo of "Hello World." It was like colon. It was like, I forgot. It was like C prompt, "Hello World," right? And I told Joe, "You're the chief product officer at Airbnb. You have a PhD and I forgot what it was, but you obviously know how to code, right? Why would you have such a simple tattoo on your wrist?" And he said something to me, and this was at, like, I think a bar at midnight or something. And he said something that I never would forget. He said, "Is to remind myself that I should always be a beginner." And when I heard that, so many things made sense. That, like Anthony just said, in school, it's about competing. It's about showing you know more so that you get a higher grade. But in work, you should be comfortable not knowing. I mean, if you know everything, it probably means that you're a big fish in a small pond, right? You're not moving into bigger ponds. So if you know nothing, it means probably you are swimming into a situation that you don't have experience for. And now this gets me to actually the core point, which is when we hire for attributes, not skill, not knowledge, not experience. We hire for attributes. And because I think in innovation, attributes are so much more important than skill, knowledge, or experience, because we're going to come across new situations that nobody has seen before, right? Your skills will not be sufficient to handle this situation. So what will you rely on at that point? And having the right attributes could very well be an explanation for Bayou's success, right? And for the other success of people in Bukit Vista, not even having a technical background, but having the correct attributes of being curious, seeking long-term solutions, thinking about structure and efficiency to drive the solution forward. And that, I think, is ultimately why we've come here today to speak about Bukit Vista. Okay, and Igloo and innovation, right? So let me conclude this Q&A right now. We have a solution for everybody who is very passionate about voting. We don't want to disappoint. We don't want to not inspire delight. So afterwards, what I'll do is I'll collect answers from some of the speakers here, and we'll post it as a blog post. And you guys can come and read that on your own time, and we'll distribute that to all the attendees of the audience who fill out a survey, right? So that you have a link back to our company. Okay, next, let me hand it over to Cynthia for the continuation.
Yes, thank you, sir, for the time. And thank you, everyone, for your enthusiasm. Actually, we got a lot of questions, but no worries, since we do have a huddle session, and you can like directly go there. And then we will have it after the session. And you can ask directly to the speakers. You don't have to be like anonymous. And yeah, you can share it with them. Okay, but first, give me a little bit time for sharing for our next topic. So for the next topic, okay. So conclusion has been said by Mr. Jing, but thank you, sir, for like driving the session, the moderator. That's very wonderful session as well with the Mr. Anthony, with Mas Bayu, and also Mr. Sastra. So for the survey and also from the Daftar Hadir, please kindly submit and fill this form. So the form is bit.ly/BV Seminar 2021. So you can have a e-certificate later on, and we can hear from you more how we could improve our session. So yes, I will let you guys to fill that. And while we are filling that, actually, we have one more guest today. So, okay, this time is really for Neil. So who is Neil and what is he doing? I will let him to introduce himself. But first, maybe I would like to invite Neil first to come in. Neil, are you here?
Yes, Kak Cynthia, I'm here.
Yes. Yeah, hi Neil, how are you?
I'm great. How about you, Kak?
Yes, I'm really great as well. So, Neil, I believe that everyone is wondering now, who are you, and then what are you gonna do here? So I will let you, and I will leave the floor for you. So please, Neil.
Yeah, thank you, Kak Cynthia, for the time. So, hello everyone. I'm Nathaniel Jason, an informatics engineering student at ITB, Institute Teknologi Bandung. I'm also a former backend developer intern at Booker Vista. So today I'm gonna share a bit about my internship experience here in Bukit Vista. So I start my internship period as a backend developer back in the December 2020. So for those who are not familiar in the software engineering world, the two of the many career paths are as a backend or a front-end developer. So in short, the front-end task is how we present the data in the form of a user interface or UI. So if you like open the Google or Bukit Vista's web, what you see is the front-end part of the web application. In short, a back-end task is to prepare the data from the database to be given to the front-end or even from other sources, or even do the data modification, such as updating or deleting data from the database. So in Bukit Vista, the division in the company is called chapter. So like, for example, there are like human resource chapter, there are like marketing chapter, and also a product development chapter, which is where the backend developers at, and also other technical related positions. So most of the positions in the product development chapter work in the form of projects. So for example, I as a developer, I can be assigned to a project by the product owner of the project. So the product owner is like the project manager who manages the project, who connects the client with the developer. So there are like many projects, right, which each of them has its own product owner. So so the product owner can assign us a developer to do on the project, to contribute on the project, assign a UI UX designer, UI assign a quality assurance engineer to the project. So you can also be initiative and have a discussion with the product owner if you want to assign yourself to project that you like, or even initiate your own project or start your own project. So in general, the major clients of the projects in the product development chapter revolve around the application users, such as the property owners, and also the employees in Bukit Vista. So maybe I will give a short example about two of my projects that I do in my internship period here. So for example, for the project that revolves around the app users, specifically the property owners, so we have a feature that automates on sending emails to property owners when they get a direct booking from the Bukit Vista app. So by doing so, we automate it, which before is done manually by the team in Bukit Vista. Maybe the example for the project that revolves around employees that I do in my internship period is making a feature to track on employees' days off in the Google Calendar and visualize it in an easier form at Bukit Vista's internal tools app. So before this feature or project exists, basically the HR chapter doing it manually by checking the Google Calendars and doing a recap on it manually. By having this feature, we increase the scalability of our system, which leads more to more productivity. So one of the uses of the technology is to build a scalable system. I think like what Kak Bayu said before. So in short, what it means by a scalable system is that, for example, if we get like 100 new bookings, the resource that is spent if we were to get 100,000 bookings is not that much different. So we get that by automating the task, automating the manual task, so to increase more productivity and scalability. The work culture in Bukit Vista can be seen from the vision, mission, and the core values that we hold. I feel that it really affects us on our work and also keep us on track with the company's goal and purpose. So for example, like every time we are not sure when making a decision, we always look again to our vision, mission, and core values to be sure or what actions to take. So here in Bukit Vista, the interns are assigned a mentor to guide them on their journey in the company. So one of the learning experience that I get is from the mentorship that we get with our mentor or even other people in the company. The next one is also the opportunity to explore new skills, new position in Bukit Vista. So what is interesting is that I applied at Bukit Vista as a backend developer intern. But me myself, I always wanted to become a full stack developer, doing the backend and the front end stuff. So in Bukit Vista, if you utilize this chance at its best, you can also learn other things that you are interested in. So for example, for me in full stack development. So when I told them about this, especially my team, they guide me through the learning process and experience in the form of giving me a chance to contribute in a project as a full stack developer. So the other learning experience that I get is really interesting. So in the product development chapter, we sometimes arrange a discussion session with other people from other company. So like for example, we have a discussion with a UX researcher from GitLab. In Bukit Vista, there are also other fun activities that you can participate on to build network, to build soft skills, to build relation with other people. For example, I take part in the BV talk with Quincy Larson, if you know, the founder of the Free Code Camp. So by doing so, you build network, you build relation with your colleagues, which for me is an important aspect when you are working in a company. Next. So like then you ask, why should I intern? Why should I do internship in my college period? So maybe I will tell you about this. Why doing intern? By doing internship, you gain experience and vision on what the real working environment is like. So like when you graduate, you have a better understanding on that. Doing an internship also improve your skills a lot, especially the hard skills and soft skills to the working experience, to the project, to the mentorship that you get, and other. And the last one, what is the most important for me is by doing internship, you can learn from the profession. So in Bukit Vista, you can have a discussion with them, you can learn from them, and even you can gain feedback from them. So then, why you ask? Why Bukit Vista? So for me, Bukit Vista provide me the best working, growth, and learning environment. Even better if you utilize it as best. So you have to be initiative, you have to be proactive to them to get that kind of environment that will help you grow your personal skills and career. The next thing why you should apply in Bukit Vista is actually the core values. So when I applied back then, I'm really interested in their core values because for me it's really unique and inspiring for me, which is also what I felt when I do the internship here in Bukit Vista. The core values helps us shape us to be a better person in our working culture and environment. Next. Yeah, so I think that's for my sharing session. And also, Bukit Vista is currently hiring for a growth marketing team lead and also assistant lead of business intelligence. It's open for the work from home experience. And also, we are open for remote internship here in Bukit Vista, especially in the tech-related positions, such as backend developer, front-end developer, UX designer, business data scientist, and many more. So maybe if you are interested in that, you can check out Bukit Vista's web in bukitvista.com/jobs. So for the last one, I think I really recommend you guys, and I really encourage you guys, especially the one who's still in college, to take part in Bukit Vista's internship program, and gain and learn a lot of experience from that. So maybe the last thing, if you want to ask more of me on my experience on Bukit Vista, I think you can find me on LinkedIn. I will provide it in the chat box. I think that's all from me, and back to you again, Kak Cynthia.
Yes, thank you so much, Neil. Wow, you are wonderful. Actually, if I could add more, I still remember at the first time Neil come here, and he was in charge on the event committee back then. And now he's like improved a lot, and I'm so happy. We're so happy here to know his transformation. So yes, add more to Neil, I will back it one more slide. So actually, we're currently hiring for the full-time position, and we're currently hiring for the growth marketing team lead, for the assistant lead of business and business intelligence. So if you are guys like having some interest on this one, you can go directly to our website, that is bukitvista.com/jobs. And also to support the government program as well. Actually, we are open for the Kampus Merdeka Belajar and also for the internship. Currently, we are open for the back-end developer, front-end developer, UI UX designer, and also business data scientist and more. You can find it more as well on our website at bukitvista.com/jobs. So yes, you can find more information, and like Neil said, and if you want to like ask him how is actually the experience, you can add him on LinkedIn. Like I hope Neil will provide it, his LinkedIn as well, so you guys can share or just easily contact us. We will be glad to assist you. And then this one, we actually like to promote our BVE Talk Instagram, where you can find our upcoming BVE Talk, our upcoming internship, and also job activity. We will post it there, so you can follow it. And then I know that you guys are mostly an Instagram user, right? And yeah, I think that's pretty much it from me and from us. Let's see. Correct. So yeah, that is the end of the session actually, but this session is not really end. If Mr. Anthony, Mr. Sastra, Mas Bayu, and Mr. Jing would like to stay probably 15 minutes, we're gonna having a huddle session So yeah, I will encourage everyone that haven't had any opportunity to ask previously to ask our speakers directly. But before that, we'd like to have a session by photo shoot session to officially close this session. Thank you guys. Thank you for the spirit and thank you for the energy that and also the enthusiasm that you share. So yes, please. So I'd like you to open your camera,
Oh,
please.
Cynthia,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to be a host and actually give Mr. Anthony and Mr. Sastra an opportunity to also offer internships
Oh,
or
sure.
jobs to anybody who might be interested in hardware technologies or software as well. That's something that we currently, we want to be a host. To Anthony or Sastra, are you offering any positions or internships available at Igloo at the moment?
Yes, definitely. I think you can visit our career website to take a look at it. I mean, we are always open for any bright young students who are interested in engineering to join us. Taking on 3 months internship, 6 months internship, we are pretty flexible around it. We have open positions across software. I think mostly software firmware engineering are mostly in China. But over in our Bali, Indonesia team as well as our Singapore team, we have our backend, front end, the UI UX across the range of spectrum that you can imagine. I think Sastra can talk about it in a short while, but ultimately, I think like what now we have. I mean, we are working remotely. It doesn't matter whether you're in Jakarta or whether you're in Bali or you want to work with our team in Singapore. There's ways that we can arrange around it, and we are ultimately looking for bright young talent who wants to bring change in the world and bring about keyless access to the world. Yeah. Sastra, you want to share a bit of some thoughts that you have around
Yeah,
it?
okay. Yes, we do have an office in Bali for development purposes. So I'm still gathering. We do have the email address for you guys to send it, your resume or your CV, and we do also have I think Instagram, right, managed by our colleague in Bali, Adit. I will ask him to send these two links soon. Oh yeah, I think he already like posted here in our Instagram, right? Please do send you guys your your CV or anything or like a quick profile about yourself if you are interested on getting an internship in our place, or maybe we do have some I think openings for our QA engineer. But please check our Instagram, I think, for that. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Anthony and Mr. Sastra and Mr. Adit for offering career opportunities for these bright young minds here. Okay, Shindia, time for the photo, yeah?
Yes, of course. Thank you, sir. And yeah, I think that's everyone. The opportunity is open in front of you. You can go check and then you can like develop yourself and your personal and interpersonal skill as well. So, but right now,
Shindia, I just remember something. Should we turn it over to Bayu to specify precisely like what kind of candidates he's looking for some of the internships on the product development side?
sure, if Mas
Okay.
Bayu would like to share.
Sure. Okay, Bayu, what kind of people are you looking for?
Okay, I think it's pretty self-explanatory on the slide, but definitely we are looking for people with the right culture fit and then growth mindset, and I think all the criteria that Jing has mentioned before. In terms of a technical skill, what we are looking for is the product development team. So we have a project manager, product owner, UI and UX designer, and then there's a front end developer. We are using PHP and also JavaScript. Basically, we are using React and Node for our servers, and then front end and back end developer. Mostly, we are using JavaScript in our production environment, but we are also doing some data science project. So we are open for that skill set as well. So we are Python and then TensorFlow, Keras. If you are interested in using that or machine learning, please join us. And I guess that's it. We want actually we are opening the possibility for you, and we prefer you to be smarter than us and tell us what we need to do. Yeah, bring us some new technology and shine a light in our blind spot. That's it, Jing.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bayu. Yeah, I would agree. I think that reflects Steve Jobs' hiring principle. Hire smart people so that they can tell us what we need to do. All right, Cynthia, let's do this photo.
Yes, thank you, sir, and thank you, Mas Bayu, for sharing as well. So everyone, please turn on your camera. There are 3 slides. So yeah, I hope you can be patient. I will wait for everyone to open the camera.
Ayo, nyalain kameranya.
Oke.
Nanti dapat itu door prize dari Bu Sin.
Dapat nilai A nanti katanya.
Door prize-nya tanda tangan, foto bertanda tangan Pak Jing.
Oke, saya tunggu dulu ya untuk teman-teman semua. Mungkin Mas Sastra dan juga Mas Adit boleh dibuka juga Mas kameranya. Kita bisa foto bareng. Ini untuk teman-teman yang lain kita masih tunggu untuk open cam ya. Ini masih belum open cam juga nih.
Ya. Mbak Cynthia, ini yang departemen tuh saya akun jadi nggak usah aja ya. Nanti 2 fotonya saya semua.
Oh ya, nggak apa-apa Pak. Oke, saya akan mulai dari screen pertama ya. Saya masih nunggu juga buat sekalian teman-teman yang di screen kedua. Jadi, oke, saya ambil ya 1, 2, 3. Oke, sekali lagi 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then thank you for the first screen and to the second screen. Oke, masih banyak nih teman-teman yang belum open. Apakah saya harus panggil satu-satu?
Ayo, open Mbak Ika, Bu Ika. Nah, ini Bu Ika. Bu Ika nih dosen kami juga nih, Bu.
Oh, halo Bu Ika.
Javon, Jafari, Gusti, Made, Henrikus,